What happens now when it starts raining? That's what we were talking about. Everybody's gonna come inside. We'll lock the doors.
All right, everybody, just a heads up, we're recording this, and we're going to make it available to everybody. Still got to give it a couple more minutes here while everybody checks in, but just wanted to give you the heads up on that. We're going to plan to make it available to the entire membership once I can figure out how to share recorded video.
We're in the meeting.
Oh, you have it?
All right, we're just going to wait another minute or two, and then we're going to kick this thing off. All right, everybody. You can hear me. If you can, take a moment to mute your phone or mute your screen if you're not talking. That way we don't get the feedback noise from you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. You know, the point of this today is the section is trying to assist you as best we can. And one of the ways we kind of came up to do that is sharing best practices in the most effective manner possible. We're just trying to create conversations that are meaningful and helpful. We'll kind of get into the resources that are available right now towards the end of the call. But I appreciate everybody being on here. Kind of a reminder, we are recording this as a way to kind of save it for later. So the other members can access it, see it, play it, and try to really expand our reach as the message gets out. First up, you know, one of the things that I think would be helpful and useful is kind of a practice sharing session and kind of an informational session from our partners at Janicki. Victor Barrios has joined us today. Tom Koch. Tom, are you with us? All right, yeah, Victor's with us. Victor's kind of the regional owner here that we've worked with. Many of you have met Victor at our annual meeting, and hopefully as he's interacted with your facilities. But I've asked Victor to come on today and kind of give us, like you said, a few best practices at your facility, as well as be a resource for any questions you might have. And he's an expert in this, certainly more so than myself. So, Victor, I'll kind of hand it over to you if you're willing to kind of share those best practices and ideas with us. That'd be great.
Yeah, good morning. First of all, thank you, Clayton, for having me on the call this morning. Many industries are doing these types of meetings, and I'm glad that you guys have come together to discuss this virus and what it's doing to our communities and to our country, quite frankly. My motivation today is to give you some insight as to what can be done, what should we be looking out for in order to reduce the risk of contamination, and hopefully help the country slow that curve down, so that our medical facilities can keep up with the demand that they will undoubtedly face. So from a janitorial standpoint, we're telling everyone to please.
Did we lose Victor? Can anybody else hear me?
I think we lost Victor, Clayton.
I think we have. Victor, you still there?
I got a notification saying.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry about that. Anyways, so from what we're telling all of our customers and anyone that wants to speak to us is we definitely need to follow the guidelines from the CDC and the World Health Organizations. The washing of the hands is extremely important. We should make sure that everybody in all of our facilities are washing their hands for a minimum with soap for a minimum of 20 seconds. Best next thing, let's make sure that we're using hand sanitizer if we can't get to a sink right away. Now, I know that supplies are limited out there as far as hand sanitizing is concerned. From what we're hearing is not that the hand sanitizer is not available or Purell, a company like Purell is not manufacturing it. The problem is that they don't have anything to put it in. Most of their containers come from China, and of course, China is on lockdown and they're not really sending anything out. And if they are, it's very sporadic. So that's the big issue with the supply chain as far as sanitizing, hand sanitizer is concerned. Now, somebody has asked me, can we make hand sanitizers at home? Well, hand sanitizers, basically the two active ingredients is aloe vera and alcohol. As long as you have a mixture of 60% or greater of alcohol, you can put some aloe vera and mix it with aloe vera, and you can have a pretty decent sanitizer right in your, you can make that at home. Now, we're not recommending that. We're just saying that in worst case scenario, if you need to do something, that is a formula to do it. We're requesting everybody to keep their social distance. I don't like the word social distance. I prefer to call it physical distance, because at the end of the day, we still need to be social with each other. We still need to talk with each other. We still need to interact as a community, because, for our mental health, right? We can't, go into and stick our heads in the ground and say, let this pass. So physical distancing is what, really needs to happen, 6 foot or more. Why is that important? Because this virus tends to spread out a little bit further than the normal influenza virus. Influenza virus is when you cough or you sneeze, it goes out about 3 feet. This virus goes out 6 feet. So that's the minimum required distance that the CDC is saying that we should keep amongst ourselves. To keep your hands away from your eyes, away from your nose, away from your mouth, so that you can avoid, contaminating yourself or contracting the virus if you've touched a contaminated surface. And if you're sick, if you have a temperature of 100.4 degrees or more, please, stay home till that temperature drops, or, you're diagnosed with one other form of influenza or whatever the case may be. But we should take precautions. Tell our employees that if they're feeling, if they're symptomatic, to please rather keep them home for a little bit, and when they're feeling better, then you can bring them back in. Now, from a practical standpoint, and I've spoken with many of you in regards to your facilities, whether somebody has been infected or not infected, and some of you have requested disinfecting services for your facilities. So one of the things that I want to make sure that we all understand and that you understand is how should you assess the risk. Okay, whenever you're reaching out to a commercial cleaning company, in order for them to come and disinfect your facility, you need to be comfortable, feel comfortable that they're taking the proper steps and doing the proper things in order to give you a product that will reduce the risk of somebody being contaminated at your facility. Okay, a lot of people out there, and this is, a lot of the people are panicking and they're grabbing, this person, that person, this company, that company. But are those companies well equipped with the personal protective equipment, with the proper EPA approved chemicals, hospital grade EPA approved chemicals? And do they have a cleaning methodology as far as disinfecting the facility is concerned? So those are important factors when you're speaking to a commercial cleaning company to come in and disinfect your facility. A company that knows what they're doing will come out and say, we need to assess the risk, all right? Because you don't want somebody just to say, hey, I'm going to quote you this, and we're going to come and disinfect your facility. Well, you need to know the when, the how, right, and what, and the what, okay? So a risk assessment is extremely important. If you are at a low risk, you should not have to, bear the burden of paying a very high price to disinfect a facility if you're low risk. If you're high risk, meaning that you have somebody that has visited your establishment or one of the employees that have tested positive for the COVID-19, then you should be at a different level of disinfecting, right? So what we have done is we have done our own risk assessment program for all of our clients and potential clients. So when we come out to your facility, we're going to go through a systematic process which will yield a risk assessment. And based on that risk assessment is the recommendation that we're going to give to you on what level of cleanliness you need for your facility. So really quickly, those three levels are the low risk factor, moderate risk factor, and high risk factor. Right? And your low risk factor, meaning that, once we look at your facility and we speak with you and you've not had a case, you haven't had anybody that's been sick or that have been symptomatic or anything like that, then what we recommend is a deep clean of the facility, just to start with clean surfaces everywhere, right? And using an EPA approved disinfecting chemical, right? But that clean is basically a deep clean of the facility because, to disinfect, you first got to start with a clean facility. We need to understand what the difference is between cleaning and disinfecting. Cleaning, you're just wiping. You're wiping areas clean so they look good, right? They don't have any stains. They don't have any coffee rings. They don't, you're vacuuming the floor so there's no trash or debris on the floor. You're mopping the floor so they look nice and even. So that's cleaning. Disinfecting is actually using the proper chemical and proper dwell time, and what that means is that the time that the chemical sits on the surface in order to kill the bacteria or virus, right? Cleaning does not kill bacteria or virus. I want everybody to understand that. If you have a cleaning company and they come to you and tell you, well, we're disinfecting every day, we're doing this, we're doing that, unless they're using EPA grade or approved chemicals, and they're allowing the dwell time or the wet time on those particular surfaces, they're not disinfecting. All right. The minimum dwell time for fast acting agents is 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. You can find those dwell times on the manufacturer's label. When you're looking at disinfecting, it will tell you what the dwell time is for that particular chemical. Some chemicals 3 to 4 minutes. Some chemicals are 5 to 7 minutes. Some chemicals are 9 minutes or above. So depending on the chemical that your company is using, that's how much time that chemical needs to sit on those surfaces in order to disinfect properly. So big difference between cleaning, which is just wiping clean, or disinfecting, which is where you have to keep the surfaces moist for an extended period of time using a hospital grade disinfectant so that the bacteria and the viruses are killed. So can you disinfect a non-clean facility? Well, we do not recommend that. We recommend that the facility gets clean first and then go back through with the cleaning, the disinfecting program. So at a moderate risk, right? Moderate risk meaning, well, maybe we have had some people that have walked through our doors when we can't be sure, right? We have some employees that went home sick, but they have not yet been diagnosed with the virus, right? So those are telltale signs that you may have been infected with the virus. So then it becomes a moderate risk, right? So in the moderate risk, what we do is we come in with the EPA approved chemicals, but now our staff, for the protection of our staff and for the protection of your staff and your customers, we will down protective gear. Okay, so we will use a gown, we will use a face shield, we will use eye protection and gloves. Okay, but that's the extent of the PPE because we really are not sure whether you are truly infected or not. We will go through and we'll disinfect the whole facility. We'll do a deep clean, and then we'll get into more of the areas where we normally would not get into, like, for example, underneath your chair rail or handrail, right, on your chair. Normally, those are touch points. And if you're not disinfecting the bottom of that, you're really not disinfecting that chair. Then you get into the high risk category, right, which is the ones that, hey, we have a confirmed case in our facility. It's either an employee or it's a customer, it's a member that came to our club and spent some time in our club, and they've reported that they were infected while they were in our club. Excuse me. At that point in time, we will go in full mode disinfecting. And what that means is that our staff will not even will not enter the facility until they have proper protective equipment on. We will use a lot more chemical. We would hit many more areas. We would also require that floor work be done. For example, we need to scrub hard surface floors. We don't need to strip and wax them, but we definitely would need to scrub those with a quad disinfectant in order to kill the viruses on the floor. We would have to extract your carpets to make sure that whatever is living on your carpets, we're able to remove. So that's the biggest thing with a high risk, is that floor work has to be completed, and proper PPE for our staff needs to be done. Now, we are in the process of securing some electrostatic sprayers. Let's talk a little bit about the myth of electrostatic sprayers. Electrostatic sprayers, the only advantage to electrostatic sprayers, which you hear a lot about in the market out there today, is that they mist surfaces much even better. It's a better spray. In other words, they cover the surfaces more evenly. Okay, but that doesn't mean that they're killing more. All right, the chemicals was going to do the killing, whether you put the chemical in a sprayer or you put it in an electrostatic machine. Okay, that's the only difference. It's just the mist that goes out and spreads the surface a little bit more evenly. People are charging more for those electrostatic sprayers because you can get into cracks and crevices that otherwise you couldn't get into. So, is that a better clean? We're not sure. I mean, what we're doing right now, the regions that don't have electrostatic sprayers, we are doing manual cleaning, which to me makes sure that you get every single area and you're just not trying to spray something and move on. So, to wrap this up, and then we'll open this for questions and answers, make sure that you're getting a risk assessment done at your facility prior to committing to any disinfection at your facility. You need to know where you're at on that scale. And if you have a company that doesn't understand or doesn't know how to do a risk assessment, then you have some conversations with them and explain to them what it is that you're looking for, and hopefully they'll be able to help you. If not, you can always call us and we can try to help you through that process, even if you don't secure us to complete your cleaning. Make sure that the company has a methodology exactly what it is that they're going to be doing, and that they have a scope of work that can physically be handed to you so that you can see exactly what they're doing in your facilities. So with that, Clayton, are there any questions that I can answer?
Yeah, thanks, Victor. Thanks for that information. I know that's helpful. Does anybody have, like Victor said, some specific questions that you have about your facility or what you should be doing? Now's a good time to hit Victor with it.
Has anybody done the spray as of yet?
We have not done any of the spray. Like I said, the sprayers are way in back order. I mean, the demand on them were too big. But what we have come in and we've substituted the sprayer, the electrostatic sprayer with actual pump sprayers, which basically does the same thing. So yes, we have used sprayers.
Hey, Victor, Johnny Bridgman, Brentwood. We used a electrostatic sprayer. What's the life of that? Is that just an instant kill, and then you're still open for the virus to be re-implanted in your facility if somebody comes in infected, or is there some kind of a day or two lasting effect?
Well, to answer your first question, nothing is an instant killer. Again, when I was talking about the dwell time, even with the sprayers, you've got to keep the area moist for at least 4 minutes, if depending on what the chemical reaction is. So nothing is an instant kill. The second question is, how long, or will you go back and become infected? Absolutely. The chemicals only work, and sit on surfaces for about a 24-hour period. After a 24-hour period, if you have somebody that walks into your facility that's infected and touches that surface, you're back to square one. And you would have to, go through that process again. So it doesn't take long for that chemical to sit there. What it does is it starts you from zero. When you do the disinfect, it starts you from zero, and now you can, implement some better practices. You can start really watching and working with your staff and club members to, follow proper hygiene procedures from that point on. So it just gives you a starting point that you can feel good about. But again, 24 hours later, you're going to be susceptible to anything that is out there. Now, talking about 24 hours, this is also important. When you are in a high risk category, please understand that you're going to be asked to close your facility down for 24 hours prior to disinfecting. The reason for that is, the virus lives in the air for that amount of time, and the risk for further contamination or contraction of the virus reduces after 24 hours of it just sitting there. So not that it's going to go away in 24 hours, but at least the risk, minimizes for the workers that are going to come in to try to disinfect your facility.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have a question for Victor? All right. Well, Victor, thanks for being here today, and thanks for helping us out with it. I know that was some valuable information and probably answered a number of questions that our members have about their facilities. So thanks for your time today.
My pleasure. And again, we're here to help you guys. Just, give us a call if you need assistance, or if you have any questions that you may be unsure of that people are telling you. We're here to support the PGA any way we can. So thank you so much for having me today.
Thanks, Victor.
Thanks, Victor.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Next up, hopefully if you're on a video conference, I've kind of shared an agenda that you should be able to see. If you click on the right there, you should see one that says presentation. If you're on a phone call, my apologies, you won't be able to see it. But if you are on the group chat part online, using your computer or your desktop, you should be able to see that. Following that conversation, we've had a brief sort of conversation with a gentleman named Blake Davis. Blake Davis owns and operates a marketing digital agency company called Long Drive. They offer a club chat is the name of it. It's a texting service that assists clubs communicating with their members. And I've had a few of our members ask me, how are other facilities communicating? How are you getting the message out quickly and effectively? Many have told me email, but some have asked for something quicker and more resourceful. So we've had this conversation with Blake and his company, and they're willing to be on this call today and tell us a little bit about that Club Chat texting service, which Blake has graciously decided to offer to our section, to any of our facilities for free for the next 6 months or so. So Blake, if you're with us, can you tell us a little bit about that and how facilities could use that to communicate with their members?
Sure. Yeah, just want to make sure everybody can hear me.
Yeah,
yes,
I can hear
yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, we Long Drive Agency, we're based in McKinney, Texas. We work with a handful of sections. We do the marketing and website and technology for the North Texas PGA, the Southern Texas PGA, Wisconsin PGA. So we do a lot of the web, their email platform, anything really digital marketing related. And one of the new tools, well, sorry, let me take a step back. The big subset of our other customers, we work with about 100 country clubs and golf courses around the U.S., basically supplying them the same thing, digital tools for marketing communication. And a new tool that we just released actually last month being Club Chat, and that is if you think MailChimp or Constant Contact for email, that's what Club Chat is, but for text messaging. So it's a very simple, easy to use platform where you're able to compose text messages, send out links, send out images, videos to different segments, right? So you could upload, for instance, a 500-person list and have, maybe half of those are golfers or half of those are social members. Maybe you have a segment for 25 of your employees. And so you can send different mass messaging out to them via this platform instantly. And another nice thing about it is on the back end as well, is you can then field responses and have one-on-one conversations via the web-based platform. And also there's the ability to create an event, right? So that would require somebody to respond. So, for instance, if you're sending out to-go orders, I know a lot of clubs, a lot of our clients are still offering to-go orders. They could send out a scheduled message every morning that has a picture of the menu, and somebody could either respond yes or no if they plan on ordering that day, and then actually text in their order. And that would all field into one platform. So to sum it up, though, it's something we wanted to do last week when all this was really hitting everybody pretty hard. All of our club clients are getting affected, obviously, and they're closing a lot of their facilities if they haven't already. So this tool will allow for you guys to stay in touch with your members, with your customers, but also employees as well. So with that, he has that one sheeter that I'm sure will be shared out. There is a link to a sign up page, and it's got a quick and easy form, and you'll be able to go on there, put in a couple pieces of information, and then that goes to us, and we have to set your account up. So we'll assign your account a local area code number that's localized to you and your facility. And then the only other thing that you would have to supply to us is the numbers that you want to put in the platform. And then there's also other ways that people can join just by texting that number. So if you promoted that number, hey, text this number, and that would then opt them in to your list as well. So with that, happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Thanks, Blake. Anybody have any questions there? If you're looking at my screen that's being shared, I've got that PDF up. It's got the website, the link, as well as the promo code to get that for free. So I'll also at the end of this kind of share with everybody our intentions on how to access that. We've compiled a list of all of our important documents, and that's part of it. So you'll get to, once we get to the end, I'll kind of show you where to find that. But thank you very much for doing that.
Absolutely.
Like, we appreciate that.
Thank you, Blake.
All right. Next up, we're going to start the best practices forum. This is really the meat and potatoes, I think, of why many of us are on this call. The section is doing the best we can to try to facilitate those discussions. And I'm going to kind of open this part. Johnny, are you with us today? You want to say anything to everybody? Johnny is our
I just wanted to. But first off, I wanted to congratulate Clayton along with the two EDs from Alabama, Northwest Florida, and Gulf States, Bart Rotier and Robert Brown. I got a text over the weekend from Clayton who, between those three, they kind of came up with this idea of the Facebook page and a survey to kind of throw out some best practices and really cut through some red tape that we would go through with trying to do something on a larger scale. Figured if we did it local, it could obviously come up quicker, and we could do it how we wanted to, and give more relevant data. So, congrats to those three guys have made this thing happen. If you haven't been on the Facebook page, it's really good. I've already got a lot of great ideas on things that we've implemented as far as like the bunker rakes and leaving the flag sticks in and things like that. Couple of things, like right now we are takeout only in the dining room. Men's grill's open, but no self-serve items. So we used to do Chex Mix and soup of the day and stuff like that. So anything that's kind of a community serve is done. They've canceled every buffet we have for the next 30 days from an outside group. A couple of things just maybe that aren't in the best practices that have kind of jumped out to me. We got a local text group. First thing my board asks, what have you heard from the clubs that are in your area? So we got a separate text and email chain of just the clubs that are in our area, just so I know what's happening in Hillwood, Richland, Legends, Governor's Club. We kind of keep up with what they do, similar to the superintendents when they cover greens in the wintertime. The other thing too, we've actually were closed over the weekend. We had a member notify us that he was in contact with a member who got tested positive, had lunch with him, and he played golf that afternoon. Come to find out that gentleman had taken a lesson the week before and been in the men's grill, but didn't inform the club that he had tested positive. So, couple of things to learn from that. They kept the circle really small of who knew the names, and I think that's probably some kind of a HIPAA regulation from that. The GM knew, and assistant GM and myself, and then a club president. So I think that's maybe a best practice is even though you might hear of things, I think you got to be careful of throwing names out or telling your staff that nobody knows the name. It's just they're just members or they're just customers. So keep that circle pretty small. And as Victor said, we did we did the electrostatic spraying. We had to be shut down for 3 days basically to let it dry and work. With a different company than Jana King, but our GM is a restaurant guy, and he immediately went to back to his restaurant days and they've dealt with a lot of this. So if you know somebody that owns a chain restaurant, they probably have some pretty good connections. My guy would love to share with anything that he's done in the past with his Carrabba days and just procedures of that kind of stuff. So, but all the ideas are great. Keep them coming. I love seeing them, and I think we got a little bit of ways to go before this ends, and we're gonna have to get creative. So, I'll turn it over to somebody else.
Hey, JB, it's me, Jim Vernon. How are you guys?
We're good.
I'm sorry I had issues getting on the call, so I was in a few minutes into Victor's talk there, so I apologize. I just had a couple of general things to say, and as I was thinking about this, and I'm on several email listservs for different kinds of business coaching and all this other stuff, and I kept seeing the same kind of theme, and it was, there's really only two ways to deal with stuff like this. You can either be proactive or reactive, and the very fact that Clayton and our district has has set this stuff up. The fact that people are on this call shows that we and as a section, as members, have decided to be proactive. We're going to take an offensive stance rather than a defensive one, So, and I think that's the only way to be in this, because it's all right, what can we do? Or rather than, well, let's just see what happens. So I appreciate everybody. And as we talk about this stuff, please, if you haven't shared it on the Facebook page, share it here. There's no bad ideas, no bad suggestions, no bad thoughts. So we're just all here to help each other. And I appreciate everybody being here.
Thanks, Jim. We got quite a few people on the call, but I don't want that to discourage conversation. One of the things we did as a section was send out a survey that would assist us in kind of helping collect that data. Hopefully you've seen that. We've provided it through various avenues. If you're looking at your screen now at the shared portion, you're seeing the survey. What we've done is asked about 6 questions, really, that are kind of open-ended for you to tell us what you're doing, what your facility is up to, and how you're managing the COVID-19 breakout or best practices. So our call here, we're going to go through those questions, and I've printed off the survey results we have, which is, we've heard from about 35 facilities. So I'll try to share some of those, but more importantly, what I want to accomplish today is for the men and women on this call, who are always full of bright ideas, to inject themselves into the conversation and ensure we're discussing the things that are necessary and required to help you continue to manage your business and grow as much as you possibly can in this environment. Kind of the first question that we've asked that we're going to kind of address here in the conversation is, has anyone closed down their facility yet? And if you did, what led to that determination? I know some facilities are on the fence about that. They're being pressured by their board, their presidents, and what ultimately got you to the point of saying, enough's enough, we're going to close it down? Has anybody experienced that?
Hey, Clayton. Alex Cox here at the Golf Club of Tennessee. I'll speak to that a little bit. We were in a little bit different scenario in the fact that we had not opened for the 2020 season yet. We were originally scheduled to open this Friday, soft opening, which would have been just range and dining only. About a week ago, we made that decision to postpone that, and in the short term went with the decision to open as scheduled the golf course March 25th. In the coming days, really Monday, we decided to remain closed to the membership until March 31st. We've divided the staff into 2 groups, an A group and a B group. Each group is working 3 days on in longer capacity, 3 days on, 4 days off. The 4 day off mindset comes from, hopefully if someone is in contact or does become infected, that in that 4 days they'll start showing symptoms before they come back to work, and we can catch those things. There are obviously some cleaning best practices that we're doing internally to make sure the staff stays healthy. But like I said, in a little bit different scenario, but we have decided to remain closed until March 31st.
Okay. Anyone else? Thanks, Alex, for that feedback. A couple of things I've seen in the survey. One facility that did close down used it to clean their outside services area. I haven't been too much. If you have anything, share it. Otherwise, what operational changes? I think this is really where the conversation can begin. What operational changes has your facility made that would be useful for other clubs to activate? Anyone want to share those?
Don't be shy. Jump in. I know you're all doing stuff.
Hey, can anyone hear me? This is Casey Flanagan.
Hey,
Yeah,
Casey.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I was late on the call, so if I repeat something someone's already done, I apologize. just a few things. Obviously, Tellico Village, 8,000 people, and they're all elderly. So this is probably impacting us more than the average, I would guess. But, you know, our people are still staying active. My first open tee time today at Tanassi is 3:54. So it's not shut us down. It's almost boosted us, so to speak, because they're not scared of the outdoors now. We've done a ton of communications to let them know that it's okay. Golf's obviously non-contact, but within the operation, the obvious wiping down all common items that they're going to touch. I'm probably going to remove the handicap computer. I saw that as a best practice and think that's brilliant because they're getting that update daily. And I can get them that information from the back of the house, from behind the counter, and limit how many people are actually touching that surface. We're allowing them now to call in to check in, so they actually can skip the shop and go straight to the starter shack where we have iPads and we can see simultaneously those iPads talk to the point of sale, and we know that they have checked in, so they actually don't have to check in the golf shop. Now, that I understand that kills golf shop revenue, and you won't get so many impulse purchases, but also we feel like we can hit them for the round of golf and the cart fee, then that's better than nothing. We are looking at what to do with the range. Johnny just talked about, no, I'm sorry, not Johnny. He just talked about the Facebook page, and I saw on that Facebook page where somebody was going to hand all golf balls out in the golf shop and sanitize those baskets. And again, if you guys covered that and I missed it, I'm sorry, but I think that's brilliant because our range is a zoo. You know, we've got a $2.2 million wellness center that yesterday 332 people went through. So Tellico Village is staying active, and you know, they're quarantining themselves to their house, and we feel like golf is an outside safe haven that they're going to take advantage of, and we're going to stay open until obviously government officials or anybody this thing spreads even more. So that's really all I've got from an operational standpoint right now.
All right, a few ideas on the survey. I'm kind of flipping through it while we're on this call. Menus in the restaurant are being thrown out after one use. I'm assuming they're probably printing paper menus and disposing those once they've been used, which could eliminate some of that. Remove the handicap computer, Casey just mentioned that. Adjust to the dining room, provide more spacing between tables, limiting the room to about 50% capacity. A teacher has limited to a 3-to-1 ratio on the teacher to student clinics that they're conducting. One facility removed all the towels and water from the fitness center, requiring people to bring their own. No ruck, no rakes. They've all been removed. Just play the ball as it lies. One facility is disposable cups only for drinks. No reusing of any cups. Another facility is providing cups of ice and beverages through the pro shop, making sure that the staff handle all of the cups. Everybody's placing extra hand sanitizer, extra cleaning of all the surfaces. Club service staff are all wearing gloves to clean the clubs. I've seen one facility that is once a member comes in and gets their clubs out of bag storage, that member is required to keep that bag. They can't return it to the bag storage. Heard another facility that's eliminated rental clubs. They're not going to be using those for the foreseeable future. Any other ideas you guys have, men or women?
Hey, Clayton, it's Matt at Gallenberg Golf Course. One thing, I don't know if you just mentioned it, but yesterday you posted keeping as many doors, internal doors, open as possible, which we put in use today, every door inside and outside. As far as coming into the clubhouse, we've got propped open just to limit touches.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good one. I've seen, you've probably heard the people putting cups on the golf course, the hole location. They're elevating the cups or the liners about an inch above the hole, taking the flag stick out. If a member, if the ball hits the cup liner, it's considered hold. That's probably a havoc on handicaps, but at the end of the day, getting them to play golf is more important. So they've removed the pin flags, elevated the cups. The balls aren't falling in. There's no reaching in to grab it. And somebody just texted me. They've taken the hole liner at the bottom and more or less flipped it upside down now. So when the ball falls in, it's actually being elevated by the cup that's typically at the bottom. No flag stick. Any other ideas there?
Well, is anybody doing anything, since I'm not a facility anymore, what about at point of sale stuff with like cash and money and credit cards? Are you trying to figure out how they handle it, we don't handle it? They swipe their own card. It was just one of the things that ran through my mind this morning. Okay.
Doesn't sound like we have any good ideas there.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how you limit that. I mean, I just know money. Money is one of the biggest transfers of germs and bacteria and stuff. So that was one of the first thoughts I had.
This is Andrew at the Governor's Club. We have eliminated all cash options for payment. Everything's now member charge, as well as no more credit card charges. Because our credit card swipe is behind the counter at the register and behind the counter. So we've eliminated all cash transactions and credit card transactions.
Well, I believe it. What about daily fee stuff? People that don't really have the option to charge it to member tab, etc.
Being private, we're encouraging the guest the guest fee to be put on the member account, and then the member and the guest can handle payment. If the guest wants to pay the member back, they can do so on their own. But we're encouraging everything to be member charged.
Okay.
All right. Anything else there?
Hey, this is Ryan from Fox Den. Has anyone gone to no guests at any of the private clubs? That was kind of thrown out around here that we would have no guests on property, be member only.
I have seen on our survey that a few clubs have, Ryan. So I don't know what got them to that point, but some have said they are considering it. Others have said they are. Some have closed down the access entirely with the exception of restrooms. I've seen some that if a guest does, or if a member brings a guest, the guest is not allowed inside the clubhouse, that the member has to come in and conduct all transactions on the guest's behalf. I think that's all I've seen come through the survey, Ryan, to help you off there.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Let's move. What's the next question here? Safety implementations. Have you implemented at your club? Emergency response plans. What are you going to do if a member has it, an employee has it, a guest has it? Have you thought through that yet, and what you're going to do? I know a lot of people are sitting on their chair right now, wondering what happens when this virus shows up at my front door. Do you have a plan? All right, I got a few on the survey. One facility, the first case of a member contracting calls them to shut down for 2.5 days. Another facility, anyone that has returned from an at-risk level 2 or level 3 country within the past 14 days is required to self-quarantine. Any team member with respiratory virus symptoms is not permitted to work and must see a doctor. They have yet to have anybody test positive, but that's their plan if they do. Another facility says their plan is to close the facility if one member, guest, or employee shows up and is returned to be infected. Another facility, we're asking anybody to leave immediately if they're positive. If there's a problem, they have already conducted a process and outlined a process with the security team to remove them from the property. One facility, we're testing employees when they enter the club for temperature. If they have a temperature, they're required to go home. If they were to get tested and found out they were positive, we would immediately work with local health officials to track their contact with other employees and members. At that point, we would also plan on shutting down the clubhouse. Another facility, at this time, we were asking anyone that had contact with any infected person to stay away from the club. That's about it on our survey. Anything else people have to add? All right, let's move to food and beverage. What changes have you made to food and beverage, the dining experience? Anything you're specifically doing to address that?
Just a question on the golf side. Anybody gone to a single cart use only?
This is Ryan from Fox Den. We started it today, and we are already out of carts at 11:30. So we have a few people that are already upset.
Yeah.
So I think if just as a best practice, if you do go to that, I'd probably throw a few block times in there to make sure that you have enough carts for the day. I mean, we had members today that normally walk that said, "Oh, I can ride in a cart by myself. Great, I'm going to take the cart." So just keep in mind that if you do go that route, make sure that you're planning your tee sheet accordingly.
Yeah, no doubt it cuts it in half. So.
All right. Let me go through the survey here. I can highlight a few things. One facility, all buffets have been canceled. Silverware will not be out on tables and will be delivered once they sit down. Open snacks have been placed in single containers with lids. Another facility removed all their salt and pepper shakers, rolled all their silverware, encouraged curbside to-go orders, they're pre-cooking and offering casseroles to go. Employee meals are pre-wrapped sandwiches. Staff serving all buffets, only providing disposable condiments and dining ware. We have taken all the condiments from the tables and only offering packets. Another facility removed all salt and pepper shakers in the facility, wrapped silverware, spacing of the tables. Another facility to go only, throw away all the menus, condiments, no sitting inside the facility to eat or dine. Another facility has closed down all food and beverage operations. They're offering cups of ice and selling water and soft drinks out of the pro shop. They're not allowing guests to self-serve their ice. The pro shop is preparing the cups of ice for any guests or members to pick up. No self-service. Tables are spaced. All areas wiped down. To-go orders only. Food and beverage has been reduced to only packaged food and bottled cans. No cups. Half occupancy in all F&B rooms. Moved tables around and bar chairs to align with a half occupancy rule. Doing curbside service now, and also implementing food and beverage delivery to the property owners in our neighborhood. We will take the food and beverage out on the course for members and guests. To-go delivery is their only option at this time. Using more disposals, especially for condiments. That kind of sums up the survey. Anything else anybody has that might be useful there? All right, next question. How are you continuing to engage with your members or customers? Are you emails, texts? What steps are you taking to ensure your daily fee customers or your members that the facility is safe and open and ready to play golf?
Anybody doing any of the tech stuff already, other than I know email's still a very popular way to do stuff? Anybody got a text program at their place?
No, sounds like I've seen a number of emails. I've had a number of facilities share their email documentation with me.
Yeah, me too.
As we progress, I'll show everybody how to access that. Some of our members are willing to let you see those and hopefully learn from them. I'll go back to the survey here. Most people are sending emails, daily updates via email, social media updates. One facility has a printout on the counters outlining for our customers exactly what they are doing as a facility and what the customers can do to help along the way while they're on property. So I think that could be helpful. It's not just educating your employees, it's also educating the customer member. Sent out emails, posted signage, constant reminders to clean your respective areas and wipe down steering wheels and other areas of golf cart, handicap, computer. Vast majority, like I say, are using emails, which, if it's anything like section emails, I know that if you're lucky to get 50% of the people open those, that's a success. So maybe the text messaging is the route to go.
I asked that. I think it would, if somebody were ever thinking about it to reach it. What was the gentleman's name of Long Drive? Is it Blake?
Yeah, Blake.
I mean, if they're going to offer that for a little, that might be a way to dip your toe into it if you were ever thinking about it. I don't have the numbers on me, but I remember seeing something a couple of months ago about, just as Clayton said, email open rates continue to decline. I mean, they're just down and down and down. But text rate open, and not even open rates, almost everybody looks at their text. Whether they respond or not, they look at it. So, depending, unless you've sent some, War and Peace novel by text, they're probably going to read what you have to say. So, and particularly in times like this, it might be, a worthwhile way to get to them faster. Plus, it might be, you might get into it and say, why haven't we been doing this a long time? Just a thought.
Good point, Jim. And like I said, that's, I don't want you guys to feel pressured. That's just an offer that we went out and tried to help find, and Blake was willing to help us with it. So if that's something you want to utilize, they're going to do it free for 6 months, and Blake indicated it would be helpful. And I know they work with other sections, so I would say that's an avenue to consider if you're in the market.
And call your own point of sale software. I mean, in my opinion, any point of sale software that's worth its salt already has that program built into it.
Yeah. All right. I think we've kind of gone through a lot of that. The last one's kind of, any other comments? Anything you guys have learned that you want to share with the group in regards to your facility, the golf operation, outside services, anything you're doing kind of at your facility that would be useful for others to know? One of the ideas I saw, I can't remember if it was on our survey or on this Facebook page we created, a public facility that as people are calling to cancel their tee times, this facility is making note of it. They're writing down and keeping in a folder those people's contact information. And then as soon as, business is back to what may be a new normal, they're going to reach out to those people and bring them back in. Using that contact information, maybe there's an opportunity to offer them some sort of promotion for coming back, a way to engage customers in a new, meaningful direction, and ensure that those daily fee people are coming back to your facility. So I thought that was something that could be useful. I think I would encourage you to just keep communicating with your employees, with your members, with your daily fee customers. Let them know what's going on at the facility, what you're doing to address the situation. Try to stay out in front of it. Continue to be proactive instead of reactive, and stay positive. That demeanor you have as the leader at your club, at your facility, carries down to your employees. It carries out to your members. It goes to your customers when they come in. The world needs a little light right now, and you have the opportunity to shine that at your facility. And I know that's what PGA professionals do the best. So just keep being you in that regard. The next agenda item, we really haven't touched on it, but that's for teaching professionals. I know this impacts facilities and operations, but many of you make a living and a good amount of income from teaching, coaching, club fitting. I'd love to hear any best practices you're doing there. I haven't seen much feedback on the survey other than the one that said they've limited it to a 3-to-1 ratio. Anybody else have anything they can share with us? No. All right. Well, we'll keep going down that road and maybe utilize that Facebook page to try to get some information and get it out.
Clayton, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, there we go. Go ahead.
Sorry, apparently I was like muted beyond the mute on my phone. So I've talked to a few guys that live up in the Met section, Philly section, stuff like that, and a lot of them have just converted to FaceTime lessons and doing them for like 20 minutes or 50 minutes at a time kind of deal. I know that's where, because a lot of guys up that way are on a mandatory shutdown until April, first week of April-ish. So they've just gone into that avenue, and then others are spending more time doing social media work with YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, things like that. I personally am rolling until one of my clients lets me know they have coronavirus. But I'm doing the same. I'm not doing any group work, just one or two at a time if they're brother or sister kind of deal, and that's it. And not being very hands-on as I usually am, and just kind of keeping my distance for as much of the lessons as I can, and definitely no direct contact, just grabbing a golf club if I have to. But that's been kind of all I've heard from the teaching pro side, is a lot of those guys are just moving to a FaceTime lesson if their clients have, a hitting bay at their house or a net or something like that, and they'll just set up their phones and do a Skype lesson.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Any other teaching, coaching questions? Any other input? I've got a question coming in through text and on chat from Ryan Botts. Any changes to the hiring process? Has anybody done anything there? Obviously, we're kind of heading into the hiring season. Didn't know if anybody was taking precautions or doing anything differently there. Does anybody have some feedback on that? I guess that's a big no. If you do have something or you have some thoughts on that, maybe you're just afraid to share them here. If you could email those or text them to me, and I can get that answer and input out to anybody interested. Maybe employment, careers, services, things like that are a little secretive to some, so maybe you're just hesitant to share. If that's the case, reach out to myself, and maybe we can put the wheels in motion to get that to individuals that may have that specific question.
Clayton, can you hear me? It's Lamar.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, go ahead, Lamar.
Hey, Clayton. From the employee standpoint, we had a board meeting last night. We talked about maybe as we have to scale back some of our food and beverage operations, finding some avenues to put employees in different areas that can help out in different capacities. So those are some things we're looking at. Obviously, I don't see us hiring anybody at this moment. Really just trying to find ways that when we're cutting hours from employees that we can move those to other people and other areas.
Yeah.
All right. Good feedback. That's important. Anyone else?
Hey, right. Clayton, this is Ryan Ott. We're actually doing the opposite. So here in Knoxville, they have let about 100 people go from some local hotels and restaurants. So it's tough to find quality staff. So we actually just posted a couple server positions, houseman positions to be able to find maybe some more quality staff than we normally would be able to when everyone's open and rolling. So if you have trouble looking for staff, now might not be a bad time to look and see who might be available for, even if it's some hours at this point, knowing that once this thing gets past us, then, we're obviously back up and rolling.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Kevin Walls mentioned in the chat, from the PGA Career Services perspective, they're seeing employers kind of due to those facility closures or possible closures, and also having an issue of gathering a committee for interviews. So that's something that they're currently dealing with that some facilities are trying to address. But if you have any more questions on that or feedback, don't hesitate to let me know, and then I can certainly pass that on. Next is kind of a one component of this that is very concerning is the government and legislation. As legislation continues to make changes on a daily basis, the section is currently trying to engage in a way that can be meaningful towards ensuring golf is included in the right legislation and excluded in others. One of the people that I've been chatting with and has some contacts that are hopefully helping us is Greg Hines. So Greg has kind of been, instigating that charge, and we're following along. As a section, the foundation has always kind of had a legislative monitor that has monitored legislation as it comes through as it pertains to the game of golf and golf facilities. So we're certainly leaning on him to continue to pass along any information that could affect the longevity of the golf industry. I don't necessarily have an update now, but I am certain that in the very near future, there'll be a need to start reaching out and encouraging perhaps members or golfers that come to your facility that are involved in that process to continue to ensure they understand what the game of golf offers in situations like this, and that it is a safe alternative to many things going on in society, and to ensure that from a legislative viewpoint, we remain unaffected unless in a positive manner. Greg, are you on the call with us today? You have anything you want to add or kind of give us some feedback on that? No? You out there, Greg?
I thought he was going to be on the call, but if he's not,
I'm here.
Are you there? Yeah, good deal.
I'm here. Clayton, anybody on the call who knows any legislatures in the state of Tennessee, or if you just want to go to their website and find the legislatures in your region, there's some verbiage that came out of the state of Michigan that I sent to Clayton and to Jim Vernon yesterday, talking about open fields and leaving golf courses open. The governor in the state of Michigan, if you just want to look it up on your own, put it out that way. But we need to encourage every legislature person we can to lean on the governor, that if he closes things down, to leave the open fields part of it in there so that people can get out, have the space, do what they want. And, we need to be clear probably that, we're taking extra precautions here and there, because obviously it's a scary situation, but we don't want to lose whatever we can lose in this. So if you have any contacts in the government, reach out, push. Clayton has the verbiage that the state of Governor Michigan put out that I shared yesterday out of the National Golf Course Owners website, and what they're putting out across the country right now that's kind of in the same deal. So that's all I really know.
Hey, well, one more thing too. I just found out from my Pinehurst team that went. They shut down all restaurants and bars in North Carolina last night at 5:00. So, to Greg's point, does that if we can kind of be not considered one of those type facilities, it would help for food and beverage.
I think Greg's exactly right there too, and this is one of those deals where we all need to be prepared to send that email or letter or whatever it is, and not just wait for, well, that's something that the foundation can do, or that's something that the section will do. The more letters, emails, or whatever else. And Greg's right. Just look up your legislator, whoever your local one is, or if you know somebody, certainly do that. And use that Michigan thing as a model, and some of that same verbiage, that this is important. All right. And let's don't wait for other people to do that for us. If this needs to be a groundswell thing where a bunch of people send stuff, let's send it.
Yeah, I like that. A group approach is always the preferred approach. Any more questions on that? All right, next up is kind of a resource, this conversation, and to give you an update, kind of what the section has been doing. As Johnny mentioned earlier, we kind of went into action over the weekend trying to facilitate conversations and meaningful content to provide you with the most up-to-date information we could on what other facilities are doing. So, you know, we collectively, myself and Robert Brown, who's the ED in Gulf States, and Bart Rodier from the Alabama Northwest Florida section, we created a Facebook page. Again, if you're at a computer, I'm going to go through these on my computer, so you'll be able to see them in the presentation. Those of you that are on a phone call, feel free to text me if you need this information. But the Facebook page is called the Golf Professional Natural Disaster Best Practices. You know, it started out kind of small. You know, I added as many friends as I had that were PGA members. They did the same, and really the groundswell has taken off. Looking at it now, we've got 494 members in it. And so the vast majority, if not all of those, are working at clubs, PGA members, PGA professionals, general managers. The conversations that are happening on that Facebook page are live, and they're meaningful. Men and women are asking questions, they're getting answers, they're learning best practices on the fly. As situations evolve, they're able to see that across the country. It started out kind of as a Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama thing, but you know, some of the other EDs have taken it and shared it with their contacts. We've got people from all over the country in on it now. So it's become a very meaningful avenue for information. So if you're on Facebook, take an opportunity to go like that and join it. And then you'll be able to kind of exchange information there. We do have it closed, so you have to request access. We're just, you know, we're trying to limit it to golf professional, golf industry experts as we can, not necessarily make it a kind of a live, anybody can get in type Facebook page. So we want to keep the content meaningful to you. So take an opportunity to join that if you're on Facebook. I think you'll enjoy it. The next thing we've kind of done, hopefully over the last 2 to 3 days, each of you have received a couple of emails, one from me, one from our general database emailing system that have sent you a survey. That survey, as if you're seeing the presentation now, you're kind of viewing what that survey looks like. Many of you have already filled it out, so I appreciate that. We've taken those responses and shared a lot of it today. But if you've not yet filled out that survey, please take 5-10 minutes to do so. Once you fill out that survey, it's auto-populating it into an Excel spreadsheet. And this Excel spreadsheet is another link that was provided in that email from myself, as well as the email that went out through our server yesterday. So you should have that twice in your inbox. There's a link that will take you directly to this Excel spreadsheet, which is auto-populating responses as they come in. So as facilities are sharing what they're doing with these questions we've asked, you can see it 24/7. As they fill out the survey, the data becomes viewable, and you can enact it as quickly or as slow as you'd like to. It's a good way to share that data. It's a good way to find questions that you may have answered. Again, it's just another resource that we're hopeful can help you better understand what's going on. Also, as another tab on that spreadsheet, I've created a tab called Shared Docs and Useful Links. Here you'll be able to find all of the documents that have been shared with me by your fellow professionals, documents I've found online, documents that are helpful from the CDC from that perspective. Also, a number of useful resources on the COVID-19 virus, what the CDC is suggesting for disinfecting, cleaning, ways to address the coronavirus. Again, this is just an opportunity to try to gain knowledge and share with your fellow PGA members. So if you have an email you've sent out, if you have an emergency response plan, if you have any avenue that you're delivering that message and you're willing to share it with other PGA professionals, email that to me. That's been the most useful manner. I take that, put it in a Google Drive, and then create a link that you can click on here. So when you're in here, depending on what you're wanting to see, you just hover over it, click on it, and then click on that drive, and it'll open a window that takes you directly to that. So you can see it, read it, copy it if you'd like to, and we'll continue to add to that as the questions come in. Got a question here, or some input from Lauren Personette on our chat. Metro Parks, the McCabe, Harpeth Hills, Two Rivers, Ted Road, Shelby, Percy Warner, Vinnie Links. They were closed down yesterday at 4:30, but the players can now walk at their own risk at all of their facilities for free. So that's some good feedback from Lauren, and what the city of Nashville and Metro courses are doing. So thanks for sharing that. Any questions? Again, the section just is trying to be a resource to you, trying to provide you with anything that might be useful. If you have something that you feel is useful or a good idea, please send it to me at 24/7, whatever it is. I'll try to share it and make it available. Does anybody have any questions specifically for me or for anybody on the call? Anything that hasn't been answered?
It's Andrew from the Governor's Club. It's not a question, but we have started today. We're handing out, if the member wants, a sandwich bag that's got the scorecard, a pencil, and then 2 tees. That way we avoid them, grabbing the communal tees that we offer in the shop. And when the staff makes the bag of stuff, they are wearing gloves. And then the container the bags are in is sanitized. So that's one thing we are doing to still allow them to use the scorecard and the pencils and those amenities. And then we have ordered additional tees because we will be disposing of those after each use. So that's one thing we've started to do today.
Okay, that's great. That's good feedback. Anybody else? If you're on the chat to the right, I've shared a link that will take you to those survey results, so that you can access that, be a part of that, see those results as they come in. I'm also adding the link that will take you to the survey. If you've not had a chance to fill out that survey, I would ask that you do. That's a great way to provide other professionals an opportunity to up-to-date look at what your facility is doing, and again, you can access those results 24/7 as well. Last chance is kind of our open forum. This is it. Anything else you guys need, want, anything I can help with?
Clayton, it's Lamar. I have one more suggestion for everyone. Most banks, if you can show them that you are going to be affected by this or you're impacted, are going to probably be offering some deferrals on your business. It's probably a good thought to start to be proactive in calling them. I've already contacted our bank on that and had a conversation with them to see what our options are. So to start thinking out and thinking about the impacts that you have, it may be a good time to reach out to your banks and start having some conversation if you have a good contact that you can start talking with.
Yeah, good stuff there.
Good point. Good conversation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if there's nothing else, I just want to thank you for being on the call today, for your willingness to share. Thanks for being a part of the process. Somebody need to say something?
Yeah, hey, Clayton, this is Caleb from Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. Just had a quick question for the whole group. In regards to member tournaments, we've got or had opening day coming up on the 28th, which is a big event for us. I just want to see kind of what you guys are doing in response to maybe some big tournaments that you guys might be having, and if you guys have canceled them, pushed them back, rescheduled, just what you guys might be doing.
Yeah, this is Bob at Link Hills. We've had a number of postponements that actually go in through the end of May. They're searching for late summer and early fall dates. We're trying to keep them in house or keep them in fold rather, and that's about the only thing you can do because everyone's experiencing the same issues, and I think that was a great point Lamar made, not only with the banks but with your creditors as well, because obviously it's going to financially impact us. So that's all we're doing. We're trying to be on the front end of that by calling them that we have people scheduled. So make the calls early and see if you can kind of keep them to make them postpone and reschedule.
Good feedback.
Andrew back at the Governor's Club. We haven't canceled everything, but we are transitioning if we do still have those MGA and LGA events to go to tee times only instead of a shotgun. That way we're trying to limit as little gatherings as possible in terms of the shotgun, everybody being outside and on the range, as well as when they come in after they're finished. So just to keep
how does that afterwards part look? Like if you guys are doing an award ceremony and scoring and whatnot, do you guys just do that outside, or what are you planning on?
At the moment, we really haven't talked too much about that. I'll probably be getting with Scott. Well, I'll be talking with Scott today on that, and I can share with on that Facebook page about that. But I mean, as of now, with us, it's kind of difficult. We use Golf Genius a lot with live scoring, so we keep those leaderboards on TVs. So I'll have to talk with them on how we're gonna handle that going forward.
All right.
I saw on the Facebook page maybe yesterday at some point, Caleb, one facility had mentioned that for all of their member events, they were making them week-long events and allowing the members to essentially play at any time throughout the week with whoever they chose to play with, and then just sort of collecting the results as the members played, and then we're just going to make some sort of formal announcement, say on Friday afternoon when the event closed. They weren't canceling it, but they were
spreading it out
over an entire week and letting the members come and go as they felt comfortable.
Okay. Thanks. All
right. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen?
I got one thing, and this is, for lack of a better word, pep talk. I was thinking about something you just said, and I know we know this, but this is seriously important. I mean, we as long as we can and are able to stay open and remember that we are providing a respite for these people right now. This is heavy stuff, and for some people, really, really heavy. And to get out to our places is an opportunity to get away from that. So our demeanor, our energy level, our positivity, whatever you want to call it, is super important, that they can come to our places and actually exhale and say, okay, I'm here to have fun. I'm because I've been stuck in my house or been stuck wherever I was. So how we portray that behind the counter in front of them, if we can't shake hands and hug and pat people on the back, then this is even more important, how it looks on our face and our body language and all that other stuff as we go forward. I know you guys know that, but let's be mindful of that, because I know we're all scared a little bit inside too. But we need to do our best to be as positive as we can when we're standing in front of our customers and our members. That's all I got.
Yeah, amen to that, Jim. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you being on the call. Don't forget, if I can do anything to help, don't hesitate to reach out to me 24/7. I'm here to serve. So thanks, everybody, for your time and your feedback.
So thanks so much, Clayton. Thanks, guys and girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.